Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having us here. We are Team 5 with the topic of green space collaboration. And I'll have Rose to share the screen for our presentation. Could you all see the screen now?
Yes, perfect.
Okay. So yes, our topic is the green space collaboration. And next slide, please. And here are our team members. We have Evan Trito from majoring in computer sciences with a minor of management. Rose Lam, double majoring in graphic design and technical writing and communication major. Anita Fong, majoring in psychology with an art minor. Sumayu Sala, double majoring in art and graphic design. And lastly, among the team members, I am Tianyu Zhai, a recent graduate with bachelor degrees in economics and architecture. We are also very honored to have our faculty coach, Dr. David Christensen from the College of Education and Human Development. Next slide, please. So firstly, please let me introduce the definition of green space. So typically, green spaces are verdant areas that provide people with opportunities for exercises, recreation activities, and hiatus from hot weather. There are also multiple studies that have shown these spaces could reduce stress and boost mental and physical health. Next slide, please. The reason why we chose to focus on green space is because it's a very important aspect to respond to the carbon emission challenge. As we all know how much it has become an urgent global issue, China and the US are also the two highest emitters of carbon dioxide. According to the US Environmental Protection Agency, the top three sources of carbon emissions are electricity and heat production, industrial uses, and agricultural, forestry, and other land uses. Therefore, as deforestation is one of the main reasons of the greenhouse gas problem, we believe the Green Space Collaboration Project can help address on this issue and bring benefits for the local communities. It is also beneficial for the US-China relationship as it demonstrates a successful collaboration on a concerning global issue between civil and educational institutions of the two countries. And further, it will inspire more cooperations like this in the future. Next. So briefly, our project is by creating a detailed plan, we can find a Chinese university to partner with the University of Minnesota. And in this case, we have Chongqing University as an example, which Evan will talk about shortly. And after that, we will help them initiate their own green space projects simultaneously within their own urban and cultural contexts, and finally facilitate them through the whole process. The process is a 5-stage action plan over 18 months, which Anita will touch on it more later. Overall, the plan includes preparation, design, construction, test, and evaluation phases. And now please let me introduce Evan, and he will be going over the two examples of the universities.
Hi, thank you so much. So let's get started and look at an example of a great green space at the University of Minnesota. So you can see here that there are plenty of spaces to walk and there are lots of lush trees, and it's a really great time to just spend your day, meet some new people, everything like that, at least in the summer. So now let's look at an example of an area on campus that could be improved. So this is West Bank, and you can see that there are some areas that have a large amount of concrete and not so many trees or areas to sit down and relax or meet people. So next, let's look at the University of Minnesota overall and how they can start their green space project. So when they're talking to students and faculty of the partner university, Chongqing University, they can begin to think about some great examples of green space and unsatisfactory ones. So as I mentioned before, they have St. Paul campus, they have the mall, which are great areas. However, they have areas such as some parking garages and West Bank that could be improved. It's a great opportunity to improve these green spaces. So the idea is University of Minnesota might decide with this initiative to convert unused areas around West Bank into a new green space. And for example, this could provide areas for students to relax and study, and there could even be an educational poster provided on de-stressing with nature. And perhaps, for example, this could contain some studies conducted by Chongqing University that is just an example of how these universities would work together. So now let's look at what Chongqing University could do. So likewise, for Chongqing University, they could start to evaluate their own campus with the help of U of M students and faculty to see what pros and cons their campus has. So they have nice green spaces, but what makes them special is that they have large areas of the campus covered by bodies of water. So in this scenario, they could potentially think about putting this even further forward and adding some small fish ponds, for example, in order to keep with the spirit of their campus. So by creating this pond, it would be a chance for new people to watch these fish and also could provide an additional poster to learn about the fish and how we can improve the environment and help these fish through sustainability. And another example to connect with the University of Minnesota is that in their poster, they could describe the St. Croix River and how policies in Minnesota protect the local fish of like our community.
So as we mentioned in our example of UMN and also the Chongqing University, we could see both universities have the needs for more green spaces in their campuses. So we would like to introduce our action plan to show how exactly both universities should do in our project. So our project is an 18-month period process, and we divide it into 5 different phases. We have preparation, design, construction, test, and evaluation phase. Let's know more details about our plan. So in our preparation phase, we would like to let 2 universities to identify their own goal and objectives, and also establish their partnership by signing the contract with each other. And after that, 2 universities should create their own task force team, which will include communication facilitators who will facilitate the rest of the inter-university meetings. And we also have design, construction, test TF group who will respectively take in charge in the design, construction, and test phases. So all of the members in our task force team, they are all representative from the board member, faculty members, staff members, and student members to make sure all of the people who share different backgrounds will have a voice in our project. So after that, we will move on to the design and construction phases. So these 2 phases are tightly connected with each other. In the design phase, the design TF group will bring up ideas and share information during the meetings. And after they finalize all of the details, construction TF group will take over and to construct our new green spaces. So in both phases, we will recommend to TF groups to spread survey in the meeting to collect feedback from different stakeholders, as I just mentioned, and to keep the whole project on track. And after we finish the construction, we will move on to the test phase. So in this phase, we will open the new created green spaces, and we will open them to the public, and the task group will record data by spreading surveys to collect satisfaction info from all of the visitors. In that case, we could make sure not only our project could meet the university's goal, but could also meet all of the visitors' needs. And then we will move into our final phase, which is the evaluation phase. So in this phase, 2 universities will evaluate collected data to see whether they have already reached their original goal. As I've mentioned earlier, for UMN, in our example, their goal is to create more evenly distributed green spaces among 3 different campuses and also create more public study areas, especially in the West Bank. While for the Chongqing University, they will explore more underutilized river resources and bring life to their water area. So if they realize they did not reach their goal during this phase, we would recommend to university to repeat the task phase and the evaluation phase until they reach their goal. Well, if they reach their goal in this phase, then we will recommend to university to expand the current green spaces and to earn more benefits for both universities.
So of course, these projects could be completed separately to develop these green spaces, but by working together, they can think of unexpected ideas and bounce off of each other, leading to a more original idea. They could also plan together and even go so far as to help design and plan how their partner projects would be designed. So in the testing stage, these universities can interview exchange students from each other's universities or countries to see what perspective they have and share this information between the universities. And lastly, for evaluation, we live in a world of data that is easily shareable. So these universities would be able to share the data that they collected in their project and see what went wrong and what went right in these two projects by discussing it together and analyzing these data and finding new insights for it. So this is invaluable for both of the universities, not only to create a better project, but also create a connection between the students and faculty in these two universities that could even lead to long-term friendship, which we will talk about more later.
Okay, so now we will discuss the feasibility of our project. And the first aspect of feasibility is existing commitment that U of M has to sustainability projects like this one. So one example of this is the Climate Action Plan, which was implemented in 2011 and is revisited every 2 years. And this plan was put into place, and it's full of ideas for reducing greenhouse gases and also supporting sustainability education, as well as many other sustainability action items. And this shows the university's commitment to sustainability in general and projects like these. There's also the Living Laboratories program, which, if you don't know, basically anybody from the university can apply to the Living Labs program. And in their application, they can suggest an idea to transform an unused space on campus into what they call a living lab. And one example of this is the West Bank Community Garden, which was created in 2015 with support of the Living Labs. So our project with making a new green space on campus would fit very neatly into this program and could even be a resource for the teams working on it. And so our project continues these efforts that the U is pushing to improve sustainability on campus. So next I'll talk about the feasibility according to existing U of M partnerships with Chinese universities. So according to the China Center webpage, there's over 100 years of collaboration between the U of M and many universities in China, and this starts with exchange students, which would also be a big resource for our project. I'll talk about that on the next slide. And there's also the U of M China office, which was established in 2009, and this would be a great way to bridge communication between the U of M team and the team at the Chinese university, because those connections are already in place, so they could act as a facilitator or a supervisor for the program and make sure everything, the communication and everything else is running smoothly. There's also the China Champions program, which is just another small example of how the U has collaborated with Chinese universities to bring students over, show them the Twin Cities area, and allow them to take classes on campus. So students are a big resource for this project. Exchange students would be especially helpful because exchange students between American and Chinese universities, that is, would be very helpful because they already have the background in both countries, so they could help with facilitating communication. And also it's a good way to stay connected to their home country while they're studying abroad. But even just all students, especially those with sustainability backgrounds or who want to get hands-on experience in landscape architecture or any type of sustainability fields, they would find this opportunity very helpful because it allows them to take what they're learning in the classroom and apply it to a real world project. And so that could be a way to pitch to students to recruit them for this project. The project could also be offered through a class for them to earn credit in those areas. And if needed, we could also provide a workshop before the project just to make sure all the participants are prepared, know what to expect, and know how to address any obstacles that might come their way. Speaking of obstacles, we thought of a couple potential roadblocks that we could address. So one is communication. As we have all learned this year, remote collaboration is definitely possible, but it can be difficult to keep up over a long period of time. So to help with this, it would be very good to build in checkpoints throughout the whole process, particularly during the planning phase. It'd be good for both teams to plan out at what points they're going to check in with each other and collaborate in the ways that Evan was discussing earlier. And of course, just fostering friendships and relationships between the teams would also make sure they're motivated to continue collaborating throughout the whole process. Another potential roadblock is if the plans diverge significantly due to cultural differences or just logistical challenges that one team runs into, or just different requirements so that the plans for the green spaces really have to diverge. So this would be good to determine as much as possible before they actually start doing the collaboration. So again, during the planning and contracting phase, they should determine how much they'll be able to collaborate and where would be better to go separately. And even if they can't collaborate at all during the development phase of the green spaces, they could still collaborate during the evaluation and testing phases.
5 minutes warning.
Well, we created a persona to showcase our process. So these two students came from China and a USA university. They both met at the Green Space Project meeting, and through this experience, they were able to create a partnership. So the two personas we created was Mohammed and Son. Mohammed is a 23-year-old, a Somali American. He goes to U of M. His major is environment engineering. He volunteers at the Hands-On Twin City. His hobbies are baking, being with family, shopping, and arranging flowers. Son is 24 years old. She goes to Chongqing University. Also, she lives there. Her major is art science. She volunteers at the Center for Statistic Science. Her hobbies are gardening, playing soccer, and hanging out with friends. Also, we created a mood board to showcase their interests. As you can see, gardening, hanging out with friends, playing with soccer, and baking. So for impact, when it comes to green space, it has super positive impact on the climate. For example, trees, parks, and green roofs helps decrease the temperature of air. Trees also help cool down the environment and makes it warm. In addition to that, it creates healthy physical and mental well-being within our community members. Also, it encourages social interactions to create partnership and friendship. Also, it reduce diabetes, limit time for screen time for children, also more playtime and outdoor activities for children and adults. Thank you for listening.